program today is about people and jobs. Personnel or human resources. We hear about recruitment from two well-known companies. When you go for an interview, you really have to sell yourself. A representative of Marks & Spencer talks about their employment policies. Before you apply for a job, you have to prepare your curriculum vitae, or CV. What's the best way to set it out?
Good morning, good morning.
Troubleshooter plans to recruit a secretary. But which one will he choose? Perhaps the most British of British stores, Marks & Spencer, has always had a high reputation for the way it handles its human resources. Every year, it recruits new management trainees. Hilary Woodland is in charge of graduate recruitment.
We recruit approximately 250 graduates in the UK and approximately 100 graduates in Europe. Within the United Kingdom, we attend university careers fairs whereby graduates can come and talk to different employers about the opportunities that they have available. Graduates will either write a letter to us inquiring about vacancies, or they will send a curriculum vitae, a CV to us, which we will read and reply to. They then get sent one of these, which is the application form, which asks them a series of questions relating, first of all, to their personal details, what they are applying for, the job they're applying for. It will then ask them for their educational qualifications, which we ask them to list down here, going from secondary education through to the various subjects and courses they've studied at university. We also ask them for any previous work experience. We are very interested, in particular, if somebody has worked in a shop before or has worked in the service sector, because that may indicate that they would enjoy working in retail management. We receive about 8,000 application forms in the UK, and we receive about 2,000 application forms in Europe. So we shortlist those forms and we draw up the list of people that we want to interview. The interviewer is looking for evidence of 5 key skills: leadership, planning and organising, assertiveness, analytical consideration, and job motivation. But we're also looking for people whose real interest lies in retail, who really get motivated by and get a buzz from working in retail and working with the customer.
Now, let's listen to some of that again. First, focus on facts. How many graduates do Marks & Spencer recruit in the UK and in Europe?
We recruit approximately 250 graduates in the UK and approximately 100 graduates in Europe.
Approximately 250 graduates in the UK and 100 in Europe. Next, some vocabulary to do with recruitment. A post or job that is open is called a vacancy.
Graduates will either write a letter to us inquiring about vacancies, or they will send a curriculum vitae, a CV to us.
Applicants may send their curriculum vitae, or CV for short. This is the biographical data of their education and experience. Hilary's department sends them an application form.
They then get sent one of these, which is the application form.
The applicant, that is, the person who is applying for the job, has to fill in their personal details. Some more vocabulary.
So we shortlist those forms and we draw up the list of people that we want to interview.
They shortlist the applications and they draw up a list of people they want to interview. Let's focus on language forms. Here are some relative clauses with whose and who.
We're also looking for people whose real interest lies in retail.
We're also looking for people whose real interest lies in retail.
We really get motivated by and get a buzz from working in retail.
People who really get motivated from working in retail. If you get a buzz from something, it means you get excited by it. Adecco Alfred Marks is one of the largest and longest established recruitment agencies in the United Kingdom. Marion Tracy is a consultant in one of their branches.
We really deal in this branch with temporary and permanent staff on a commercial level. So we're looking for good quality PAs, secretaries, receptionists, telephonists, administrators, and maybe occasionally office juniors and some account staff. These days we are looking for people with skills, people who have IT skills, either Word packages, computer packages, and all of these things really are based on computers. Even if you go along as a telephonist, we're talking about a computerised switchboard. You must have a good telephone manner in practically every job you go for. But of course these days you really have to package yourself. We have to sell you as a package to a prospective employer. Well, an applicant will come in and we'll basically do a very quick, what we call a doorstep interview. Have a little chat with them at the door in our reception and see what they're looking for.
Yeah, I wanted to talk to somebody. I'm looking for a new job as a secretary.
They will fill in a registration form, but on a computer. This is what you do. You come over here and take a seat.
Thank you.
No longer do we work with pieces of paper in boxes. Everything goes onto a computer and then it can be drawn up in front of each of the consultants in the branch here. We will then test their skills. This isn't an exam, but it means that then we know what they can do when we're trying to sell them to a prospective employer. And we will then interview them for about 20 minutes just to find out a little more about them. So what I'll do is I'll have a chat with him on the phone, I'll send him your CV and ask him to set up an interview for you tomorrow. You are free tomorrow?
Yes, I am, yes.
Right, OK. I don't really need to tell you how to go to an interview, but what you must realise is that these days you have got to sell yourself. You've got to package yourself so that this client wants to buy you. So nice and enthusiastic, beautifully turned out.
OK.
OK? So I'll talk to him this afternoon, then I'll give you a buzz and we'll get all sorted for tomorrow.
Now, some vocabulary. Your skills. The special abilities you have acquired by your training are most important when you're applying for a job.
These days we are looking for people with skills.
People who have IT skills. That's information technology skills. And a good telephone manner is another skill.
You must have a good telephone manner in practically every job you go for.
Next, focus on language forms. Marion uses a reflexive pronoun to make a reflexive verb.
But of course these days you really have to package yourself.
You really have to package yourself. And she makes sell into a reflexive verb too.
You have got to sell yourself.
You have got to sell yourself. Finally, some wordplay. Marion gives the candidate some last words of advice.
Nice and enthusiastic, beautifully turned out.
Beautifully turned out means she must look really good.
All right. So I'll talk to him this afternoon, then I'll give you a buzz and we'll get all sorted for tomorrow.
Great.
Here, I'll give you a buzz means I'll call you on the telephone.
I feel sure that I'll be able to...
In this scene, an employer is interviewing the candidate Kirsten for a vacancy.
I see you work for Drake & Brown as a receptionist. Tell me what you did there.
Well, it's quite a small firm, so I did pretty well everything. I worked in the front office. I was on the switchboard. I had to deal with incoming calls. I had to use the fax machine. I dealt with the post. I had to keep records of the incoming and outgoing mail, and I was supposed to keep a daily record of the petty cash.
You were there 4 years. Why did you leave?
I left because I wanted to travel. Excuse me, Mrs. Skinner, I was wondering if I could have a word.
Of course.
I'm afraid I want to hand in my resignation.
No, really? Why is that? Is there a problem?
Oh no, I want to travel. I plan to go to Europe for a year to live and work.
I see. Well, I don't suppose I can stop you, so I must wish you good luck.
I will give a month's notice, so that will take me up to the end of July.
Oh, we'll miss you. Oh, I'll have to advertise the vacancy.
I was wondering, could you write me a testimonial? It will help me when I'm applying for another job.
Of course, and if you wish to use my name as a reference, you're very welcome to do so. Meantime, I wish you the very best of luck.
Thank you very much.
Let's focus in on some of that. First, focus on fact. Why did Kirsten leave her last job, and how long had she been there?
You were there 4 years. Why did you leave?
I left because I wanted to travel.
She wanted to travel. She had been there for 4 years. Next, language forms. Kirsten talks about her duties, the things she had to do.
I had to keep records of the incoming and outgoing mail.
She had to keep records of incoming and outgoing mail.
And I was supposed to keep a daily record of the petty cash.
She was supposed to keep a daily record of the petty cash, small payments of money. She could also say that she was expected to keep a record of the petty cash. Next, we see Kirsten telling her previous employer that she has decided to leave. How does she do that?
I'm afraid I want to hand in my resignation.
I'm afraid I want to hand in my resignation. She could also say,
I'm afraid I want to give in my notice.
I'm afraid I want to give in my notice. Now, some vocabulary. A testimonial is a written recommendation by a previous employer.
I was wondering, could you write me a testimonial? It will help me when I'm applying for another job.
And a reference is when you give the name of a previous employer so that the new employer can write and check up on you.
And if you wish to use my name as a reference, you're very welcome to do so.
Thank you very much.
Now tell me, why do you think you're suitable for this job?
You've got to package yourself so that this client wants to buy you.
I think I've got all the skills you need. I've got IT skills, a good telephone manner, and I've had 5 years' work experience in a similar environment. I know you're planning to market into Europe, and I've got good language skills, and I've lived and worked in Europe for a year.
You certainly have the skills. But it's not just skills we need, it's the personality as well. The work is demanding, there are deadlines to be met, and some of the clients can be difficult. Do you think you could cope with all this?
You have got to sell yourself.
I feel sure I'll be able to cope with the pressures of the job. I'm quite used to working to deadlines, and I don't mind staying late if there's work to be finished. And dealing with difficult clients? Well, I know from experience that I can be tactful and diplomatic, but I can also be quite firm when necessary.
You sound too good to be true.
I wouldn't say that. I've had my fair share of disasters, but I don't let them get on top of me.